Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's analysis. We're going to talk about market manipulation. So, if you guys like the content and you haven't subscribed, because as far as I know, most of you haven't. So, make sure you subscribe and like the content so it reaches to more people. Let's talk about market manipulation. So, market manipulation, literally in simple terms, what it means is that there are bigger players in the market, like governments, institutions with large amount of money that are able to move the market. Most of the time, how it works is by changing the sentiment, which is how people feel in certain conditions. In order to win in any business, right, you would need to put your emotions aside, especially now coming into crypto, because obviously it's a new market, it's just been 16 years, but still this market manipulation have been around since forex, since stock market, and now lately in crypto, because all these economies are tied together, and when there's an announcement that happens, people are waiting to see the result. In order to avoid this mass manipulation and be able to win, you'll need to do certain things. First of all, don't listen to the news. Although it could be beneficial if you get very good at reading the news, but you can use it in a different way than usual. So how does it work? When you see the sentiment, for example, I made a short as well, we posted it. When you see a lot of people in the news inside Twitter, everywhere else, calling for higher levels in the market or higher prices in the market, that this is gonna happen, Bitcoin is gonna go up, we're gonna see rallies and we're gonna see these prices, you should understand that everybody has their own perspective. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay? Second thing is you need to understand that nobody knows the future except Allah. So even if they try to predict, some people say something, then it happens, then they come and tell you that, look, I told you it's gonna happen. Right? But most of the time people are wrong. Everybody is wrong. All the models that you put any crypto in, any stock, or however you want to analyze the market, be it even gold, that model fails. Every indicator fails and they're lagging. Okay? So that's also something that you need to consider. And then when you see the sentiment, which is very important, the emotions of people, if you see people are very high, what you need to do is see how is the condition of the market. It is overbought, it is oversold. Is it in a place that there could be a lot of demand coming in, or it is highly overbought and maybe a lot of sell pressure is going to be coming in? This way you can avoid the manipulation. Instead of thinking like, oh, I heard in this news that Bitcoin is gonna go to this price, everybody make those predictions. Most of the time in the long term it works, because it's obvious for everybody that if an asset is so scarce that people would want to buy it, obviously it takes a while for everybody to come and adapt it and keep buying. There are people that they sell, then the price come back down, then people accumulate. So it's a process that takes years and decades for something to happen. Okay, that's the realization that you need to have in order to win. Okay, then what you can do is you should always have a plan. Okay, so for example, inside Halal Portfolio we have different kinds of plans. We have plans for the long term and we have plans for the short term, and never we go and trade based on what the news says, while we use the news most of the time to find the correct sentiment of the market. If everybody's calling for alt season, for example, most of the time it's very late in the market. Okay, and if people are calling, for example, for Bitcoin to fall to $40,000, $20,000, most of the time it's quite possible that everybody's sentiment is now changed. Everybody feels like the price is gonna go lower. There is the exact time that institutional buying happens. Most of these institutional traders, they come and place their orders right at that time because they want to buy the cheaper prices. And it doesn't mean that after a lot of sell pressure that has happened and now we are in a demand zone, the price could go further down. And it's the same for the opposite of the market. If the price is already too high, you cannot expect it to go higher because it's already exhausted. People don't have more money coming in. Already people have benefited so much that a lot of people are now in profit, and they would definitely take profit. So the moment you start come and buying, by you I mean all of us, retail traders, unfortunately those higher prices are where they want to sell it to us. And I have avoided this previously a lot of the times by actually reading the sentiment in this way, that if everybody is saying something, you need to think the opposite. Take a look at this example. Trump said that, like, gave warning to Iran, for example, that we're gonna hit you very hard and you'll have to come up with a deal if it doesn't happen in the next 48 hours. And the next 48 hours was right at the opening of the market. So at that time, before the closing, everything crashed, prices went down. But the market is already going in a direction and there's a negative news, it tends to go even lower, okay? And if the market is already want to go higher, then it goes higher in that same perspective. Right after Monday opening of the market, he came and said that we're going to have a deal, we're talking. So you see, then the prices pushed up right after the market opened. So this is the way that mass manipulation happens, and you can avoid this by always having a system to follow. Do not be trapped in anything you hear and say, because that's how people are being controlled for quite some time, all the time. That's how psychology of most of people work. And if you want to be exceptional, you should think in an exceptional way, okay? So you need to think like that. You need to decouple yourself from the masses, and you need to think like an individual, how you want to follow your system. If your system says that it is time to buy, you would need to also do your risk management and find the correct place to get for your long term or short term, depending on how you trade. Okay, that's the only way you can win. Otherwise, there's no any other way. Through probabilities, not predictions. Predictions fail. It has always failed. I told you before, like, most of the time people are incorrect, but what you see and they don't tell you is that they mention only the times that they were accurate. Okay, so most of the time we can be incorrect, but we can win most of the time if we have a plan. Okay, that's how it works.